pressed glitter is the devil. Hi guys, my name is Sam, and if you're new here, I make videos about makeup, chronic illness, and whatever I want. Today, I'm doing an eyeshadow palette tag. I'm doing the eyeshadow palette tag round 2, created by Samantha and Allie Glines. I've seen basically everyone I subscribe to on YouTube do this, so I will tag the original creators below, as well as leave a list if you're interested in answering in the comments or doing it yourself. I'm really excited to do this. Took me a little while, but it seems super fun. So I'm just going to jump right in. The first palette is my all-time favorite, and if you've watched, honestly, any video I've probably mentioned, then my all-time favorite palette is Huda Beauty Nude. Honestly, at this point, if you've been watching my videos, you're probably sick of me talking about this palette. I mention it all the time, especially if you watched last week's video where I'm ranking the Huda palettes or top 5 palettes, anything like that. I'm always mentioning how much I love this palette, and there's a reason for it. It's just so versatile. It's great for every day. I can dress it up for a fancy date night. I can create like a special, like really high quality, beautiful eye look for a holiday. That was incredibly wordy. I don't know where I was going with that. One day maybe this will be replaced, but right now, for me, what I needed, like all-time favorite palette, I need a palette that I can do anything with. If my whole eyeshadow palette collection disappeared and I could only have one, I need a palette that I can do multiple things with, because I have accumulated my eyeshadow palette collection over the last 8.5 years, so I couldn't replace them all at once. What is one that I would absolutely replace first? It would be this, because I could do pretty much anything with it. So she will hold the spot for all-time favorite for a while. The next one is a new favorite palette, and again, you're going to get tired of seeing this brand. It is Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. I can't speak. I just got this recently, just a couple months ago, but it is absolutely a new favorite for me. It's so beautiful. I love this for similar reasons as the new nude, but I think with this one, I get purples, blues, pinks, neutrals. You could do so much with this, but it's still something that you could dress up, get something really nice, get something really funky, but also just an everyday look, and I think this is great. If you haven't watched my video from last week, I mentioned I just love the quality of the large Huda Beauty palettes. I think they're absolutely worth the money. The formula is just really high quality. I'm just really glad to have this palette in my collection because I think it's beautiful, and I've used it about a half a dozen times now, and it immediately became a favorite palette. So it's definitely my new favorite. The next palette is Keep for the Memories, and for that I chose Urban Decay Vice 4. This packaging is just beautiful, and it's one of the reasons I want to keep it for the memories. This is also a gift for my husband and my first colorful palette, so I have a lot of sentimental attachment to it. The quality of these shadows is not very good. I reached for maybe like 2 of the shades, and maybe I'm mistaken, I haven't swatched this in a while, but it's just not very impressive at all. However, I can't see myself ever getting rid of it just because of that sentimental value. A couple of these shades aren't terrible. I have reached for this green a few times, but as you can tell, this is just not very pigmented. And if you just want a light wash of color, this is probably great. I should reach for this for some of the shades that do work well. I guess I just kind of forget that they exist because overall, like the mattes, as you can see, like here, some of them just don't perform very well. I have other Urban Decay palettes that are just a lot better. The next palette is an underrated palette, and I picked my ABH Nervina Pro Volume 3. These palettes, These palettes were released way too close together, and I understand why people were upset about the release and maybe not really interested. However, I think they're slept on because the formula is absolutely beautiful. I love it. And the first time I used it, I was kind of shocked because it's even like a hair better than the regular ABH formula, and nobody's really talking about that. I get like they released a palette every week and they're incredibly expensive, but I personally plan on picking up number 4 and number 5 because I love this formula so much, and those color stories are absolutely beautiful. The next is not a favorite, but I can't get rid of it. This one was actually tied with another, but then I swatched them to make my decision, and this one beat it out because it's pretty terrible, and that's the Melt Cosmetics Impulsive Palette. I got this when I was on clearance and then a stacked discount. It's a cat hair in it. First of all, the packaging is obnoxious, but like this looks really pretty, and I liked Melt's formula, so I grabbed this. There are a few colors in here that do work quite well, which is why I haven't gotten rid of it yet. I know some people are hit and miss with Melt Cosmetics, but for me, this is the first one that I haven't enjoyed. Next up, we have favorite collab, and I couldn't pick just one because these are equal in my mind. The first is the Jackie Aina ABH palette. And the second is the Tammy X Revolution Tropical Carnival palette. I'm going to start with the Jackie Aina palette. This is truly some of ABH's best work. It is a darker color story if you're a lighter complexion, but I like that it was finally a palette that was catered to different skin tones, where so many of them are just light skin tones. It gets a little redundant, and also it just leaves a whole group of people out. Somebody wants to finally feel like, oh, this eyeshadow palette was made with me in mind and not as an afterthought, which I think is really great. But the quality of these shadows is so fantastic. I recommend this to everyone constantly. If you can still get your hands on it, they restock it around the holidays sometimes, and it is still available on Beauty Bay. Like, I highly, highly recommend this. The mattes are so buttery and blend so well, and the shimmers are just magnificent. It's 10 out of 10. I will recommend it over and over again. And then the Tammy X Revolution. This palette is just so budget friendly that I can't help but recommend it because the quality is truly phenomenal for the price. The shimmers aren't the best I've ever used, but they are incredibly good, and the mattes are beautiful. They blend great. This is a staple rainbow palette. Even in as large of a collection as I have, I find myself reaching for this regularly, if even just for one color, because I know how reliable they are, and I just really love to reach for her. I know these don't look amazing in swatches, but I promise you can build them up. Like, I'll take this purple, and you can absolutely like build it, and it does work a little better with a brush, but I promise this is worth checking out if you want an affordable rainbow palette. The next palette is my 2021 favorite palette, and that is the, you can see yourself. You can see everything here. The Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2. I have it in the limited edition pink packaging, which I very much appreciate. I keep looking over here because I'm waiting for the camera to stop. I know it's hard with the reflective surface. This palette almost took the spot for my favorite palette of all time. The only reason she didn't is because there's only 2 mattes, and I personally prefer to work with more mattes. And to be my all-time favorite palette, I have to be able to do a lot of things with it. And this one, because there's only 2 mattes, I feel like I'm quite limited. I'm limited on the types of look I like to do based on how I like to do my makeup. So there's that. This is just beautiful though. Pat does mattes that blend with no effort. She does the most beautiful shimmers you will ever see. And I understand her palettes are incredibly expensive, but for me, they're worth every penny. And I plan to buy myself a few more. This one was a gift, a very generous gift, and I'm very appreciative of that. I somehow am always impressed every time I swatch these, no matter how many times I swatch these. I'd also like to point out that I'm new to the Pat McGrath world, but I know that there's like different formulas. I don't have the original box because it came smashed in delivery, which is okay, but I don't know if it says on the box like what the different textures and uses are, but because this is an artistry palette, you can use it for multiple different things. You could use it for blush, you could use it for blush topper, like I ran out of memory card space, so I don't remember where it was. But yeah, the Pat McGrath palette is great, and I can't wait to get a few more. with time. They're very expensive. The next is a palette you didn't expect to love, and for me, it was the Violets by Juvia's Place. This is a very, very pretty palette. I didn't expect to love it because, like I just mentioned, how I really like mattes. There's only 2 in here. So I didn't think I was going to be able to do too many looks, but I don't have a lot of purples in my collection. So I kind of just wanted like a little companion palette to what I do have. I got this on a really good discount. I think I paid like $6 for this. This is my first experience with Juvia's Place, and I've heard good things. The quality really impressed me, but I was also quite surprised with how many looks I could actually create with this. I also want to note, remember, some of these will just work way better with a brush, and I promise this is one of those. You can't always depend on a swatch to be accurate. The next palette is a palette that sparks joy. I was debating between 2 palettes for this as well, but I ultimately decided to go with this. The Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity Mothership Mega. This is her Holiday 2020 palette. Right up my alley with the tones. This is just such a beautiful palette. The packaging makes me really good. The packaging really sparks joy for me because you might be surprised to know that pink is my favorite color. I never wear it except on my face. I love looking at the shimmers in this especially, and you'll see with the swatches, this is just so divine. It's so beautiful. There's no way you can look at this and not immediately just feel happy and giddy. It's just a phenomenal quality, and this palette also is the one that kind of launched my love for Pat McGrath Labs, and I plan to be trying out more of her products with time, such as highlighters and blushes. I also have a lip gloss by her that's fantastic, so it's kind of a favorite brand of mine now. This is just so beautiful. I can't get enough of it. Definitely sparks endless joy. And there are also only 3 mattes in this, but who cares? These glitters and shimmers. And the toppers, there's kind of like a duochrome. This is kind of a topper, but it has like a shift, like a gold with a pink shift. Like, this could go with so many palettes. It's stunning. The second to last palette is the newest palette in your collection. Actually, I haven't used this or even swatched it, so we get to swatch it together. It's the It's All Good palette by ColourPop. I got this at the end of the year when they did half off sale, and I couldn't resist. But how I have been choosing my makeup recently is I have a little cup of popsicle sticks, and I choose them by random. That way I'm making sure to use all my palettes equally and not gravitating towards the same things. Haven't grabbed this one yet. I will get to it soon, I hope. This probably isn't surprising. Pink tones, we got some warm nudes, we got a mustard yellow right up my alley. I probably have these colors in other palettes, but I really like the ColourPop formula, and I just collect eyeshadow. That's just kind of my thing. This one's gonna take a minute to swatch. I think there's like 30 shades in here. First impressions of swatching this, these are really powdery. The last palette in the tag is the first palette you used in 2022, and mine is ColourPop Strawberry Shake. I'm sure you're not surprised at this point. It's another pink tone palette. I have a lot of them. I enjoy them quite a bit. I actually got this palette along with a couple others to dupe one of my favorite palettes, Blood Sugar, because I know people don't support Jeffree Star anymore. So I wanted to give an option if you liked the color story to see if I could dupe it with a few ColourPop palettes. I created a really cute look. I'm going to insert it here with this recently, and I used a Juvia's Place palette to do some like winged liner. I thought it looked really pretty, really cute for Valentine's Day. I really love these ColourPop 9-pan monochromatic palettes. I know they're endless ones and now they're kind of doing repeats, but there's just something about them that I really enjoy. And, you know, I buy the ones that appeal to me. Well, that's all I have for you guys. This was super fun to do. I want to find more tag videos because this really made me think and go through my collection and really notice things that I maybe haven't noticed in a while. So that was cool. If you're interested in doing this but you don't want to make a video, please just comment down below. Even if you just answer a couple of them, I'd love to know what palettes bring you joy that are your all-time favorite, and I love talking to you guys in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.